Hey, how's it going? This is James P. White from 95.7 Cruise FM, The Locker Room. Welcome to the Jedi Jimmy podcast. This is episode number 29, Andor series. This is actually episodes 1, 2, and 3. Wow, I love this series. First of all, the creator of this series was actually, his name was Tony Gilroy. He was the guy who actually wrote the screenplay for Rogue One, as well as several episodes of the Bourne movies, except for the one that sucked. Now, the movie actually starts, or the series actually starts out with the planet that they are on is called Morlana 1. It's in the Morlana system. It's part of the free trade sector. Also, Cassian Andor is introduced, and he's looking for someone who he says is his sister from Kenari. Now, the Empire actually think that he is from somewhere else. They have no idea he's actually from Kenari. Now, at the very beginning, probably within the first 10 minutes of the movie, he kills 2 corporate guards who attack him and try and take him for all his money, and he shoots one of the guy in the face. Now, this series is a lot darker than several other of the Star Wars projects, and it's so cool so far. So the second planet that they are in is a planet called Ferrix. It's also in the Morlana sector or Morlana system, but it's on the outlying reaches of the system. Now, they introduce a new droid. He's actually a member of Cassian's family. The droid is B2EMO. Now, how the government works in this point of the Empire is the government all works under the Empire, but each system runs their own government through their own policing system, as like with governors, senators, all that kind of stuff. Now, at the beginning, like for the first 3 episodes, you actually see no stormtroopers. But each system actually reports to the Empire, to the director of their area. Now, with the second planet being the Ferrix, now the Preox Morlana system, which is the main system that they're in at the beginning, they have their own security team. Now, the chief director, it's very political, so he actually he finds out about the death of the 2 security guys, and he wants to kind of sweep it under the rug, make it look like it was an accident, that something happened, because he has to report to the Imperial Regional Command and talk about their crime report. He doesn't want to have to discuss this. Now, under the chief director, now he has a deputy director. His name is Cyril Karn. He doesn't think it's a good idea to sweep it under the rug. He wants to find the guy who killed him, who is, of course, Cassian. So he disregards the order. Now, we skip back to Ferrix. And there's a lady introduced. Her name is Bix. She's really good friends, best friends with Cassian, but she's partners with Tim. They work in like a salvage sales center, but she actually is secretly part of the Rebel Alliance. She has access to a communications center to help contact the Alliance to get help or give them information. Now, one thing you learn a lot of in the first episode is Cassian owes basically everybody money. Like he's one of those guys. Now, one thing that they introduce is there's dog-like creatures. They're actually from Corellia. If you don't know Corellia, that's actually where Han Solo is from, and where all the Star Destroyers have been made throughout the Empire. These are Corellian hounds. They're kind of weird reptile-looking dogs. Now, in the second episode, Bix does actually notice the deputy director's report. So basically what it is it's a notice from the director on the lookout for a man that looks exactly like Cassian from Kenari. And so she's trying to hide him. But one piece of equipment that Cassian is trying to sell to whoever will take it, it's actually Imperial technology. It's called the NS9 Star Path Unit. It's actually a navigation system that can be used in most starships. Now, before he tries to get ready to leave Ferrix, Cassian actually hooks his comms up to B2 at EMO. But now at this point, so Bix, his partner, they're also boyfriend, girlfriend, sees the notice about Cassian and actually sends the deputy director info on where he is to find Cassian. So he's a total dirtbag. Now, the inspector is actually on his way to Ferrix with a bunch of troopers to catch Cassian. Now, this security group are actually called the Primor Enforcement Division. Now, in this episode, they actually introduce a new character. His name is Luthen Rael, and he is introduced, and he's actually played by Stellan Skarsgård. He actually, in the Thor movies, actually played Dr. Selvig. So he's doing a lot of stuff with Disney right now. Now, Luthen is actually in contact, the contact that's going to help buy the NS9 Starpath unit to help Cassian get off the planet. Now, in the third episode, one thing that you learn a lot about Ferrix, it's actually a giant salvage planet. So what they do is they drop off a bunch of broken down stuff, and people salvage equipment for sale or materials off. It's basically a giant garbage heap. Now, the type of ship that the Primor Enforcement group actually are flying in are very similar to the drop ships used in both the Clone Wars by the Clone Troopers, as well as later on in the Star Wars universe during, I think it's Force Awakens, the Stormtrooper dropships. They're very similar in design. Now, early on in the series, actually Bix, or in this episode, Bix meets up with Luthen, and then she introduces him to Andor. They meet in this old factory, and Andor Cassian actually describes how easy it is to steal from the Empire because they don't think they're so arrogant that they don't think anyone can infiltrate any of their bases or ships or anything. So it's just easy to walk in, walk out. Now, one thing that we learn in this episode is Luthen actually wasn't specifically coming to pick up the part. He was trying to figure out how Cassian was able to steal it, as well as he was trying to recruit someone of Cassian's caliber to join the rebellion. Now, Tim, who I'd already talked about, which is Bix's boyfriend, who told the troopers that were coming to get Cassian, where Cassian was ended up being killed by these troopers trying to protect Bix. Now, the people in this village, as soon as they see the troopers, they do a really cool way of notifying the entire village of trouble. So they basically take hammers or metal, whatever, and clank on anything metal to basically alert everybody. And it's done in a chain. So as people hear it, they clank more, and it just goes down the chain. Now, in preparing for their escape, first they rig a speeder as a diversion to get the troops away, but they escape on an actual speeder bike. Now, the speeder bike has actually been used throughout the Star Wars galaxy. It's been used in the Clone Wars by troopers on a number of different planets. It's the exact same type of speeder bike that Luke and Leia used on Andor, as well as Boba Fett used in the Boba Fett series on Tatooine. So it's a really cool piece of equipment. So Andor escaped Ferrix with Luthen, and basically leaving everyone he knows. His mother, his friends, everybody. Now, throughout the 3 episodes of this series, I wanted to group all this stuff together. They do flashbacks to when he was a kid on Kenari. Now, in the flashbacks, they see that on Kenari, which was a mining planet, so you see these really huge, strip mines. But the majority of the people that they show that were living on the planet were actually children. The reason why all you see is kids during this time is the adults were actually turned into slaves in the mines. Now, later on, after Andor leaves the planet, actually the planet does, after a huge mining accident, the whole planet basically is destroyed and is inhabitable, basically kills everybody that's on the planet. Now, in another flashback, they actually show the children of Kenari. What they were doing is anything that crashed there, they were salvagers as well. So they went to this crashed ship, and there were there were people on it that were shooting at these kids. But why this is significant is this introduced a new type of weapon. It's a manual weapon. It's called the Kenari blow dart gun. It is probably it's basically like a huge pipe with decorations on it for them to shoot these darts that were about a foot long. And so they took out this trooper with the gun, this blow dart gun. Now, also in this flashback, we find out how Cassian actually met the woman who he calls mother. Her name is Marva. She was a salvager as well that landed on the planet to get what she could from the ship, and she helped Cassian escape. Now, the end of the episode showed Luthen and Cassian fleeing Ferrix, going in space. So my prediction is they're actually going to the Rebel Alliance, where they're going to meet Mon Mothma, who is actually a member of the Rebel Alliance. She used to be a senator, and she defected because the Emperor is a jerk. Now, this is breaking news. I just found this out yesterday, is that Disney has announced that Season 2 of Andor may not be released till 2024. I hope that's crap, because I really want to see 2024. I really want to see Season 2. Now, in closing, I need to thank you so much for joining me in this episode of my podcast. Next Thursday, I will be discussing Episode 4. And I need to do a huge thank you to all my sponsors. First of all, I need to thank the Dean Blundell Network on deanblundell.com, as well as my buddy Army Chris for Fire at Will Productions, who has helped me with this podcast, and this is his great setup. I look forward to seeing you next week. May the Force be with you, always.